This is wild. It's actually happening. Sony is taking over Bungie as we speak. This article just dropped saying Sony confirms Bungie is becoming part of PlayStation Studios. This independence is getting lighter. Wow. Let's jump it right into this. This is going to be spicy. If you don't know, this has been something we've been talking about for several years now. Sony has confirmed Bungie is slowly being folded into PlayStation Studios 2 years after the $3.6 billion acquisition. That didn't last very long, right? They said that they would allow Bungie complete independent creative vision for Destiny 2. 2 years later, their independent vision was not very good, so they had to take over. 2 years after Sony acquired Bungie in a $3.6 billion deal, the Destiny 2 developer is slowly losing the independence it was originally promised. The deal, which closed in mid-2022, was supposed to let Bungie operate as an independent subsidiary under Sony's umbrella. But after missed revenue targets, internal struggles, and multiple rounds of layoffs, Bungie's role within PlayStation's ecosystem is changing dramatically. Oof. Over the past year and a half, several key departments at Bungie have been moved under Sony. This includes teams handling marketing, publishing, HR, legal, IT, production, and most recently, strategic partnerships. It's getting deeper. Even Bungie's creative studios and leadership figures like former CTO Luis Villegas have transitioned into senior roles at PlayStation. Will the name Bungie stick around, I wonder? Does the actual name of the studio just get full absorbed? Would we see the death of the studio's name itself? Or do they just become Bungie as a subsidiary under Sony? Sony now says Bungie is becoming part of PlayStation Studios. Yeah, that's crazy. Can you imagine if the name Bungie was just defunct? The latest update comes straight from Sony itself during the company's Q1 2025 earnings call earlier today. Newly appointed Chief Financial Officer Lin Tao addressed Bungie's status and confirmed that its autonomy is slowly fading. Damn. About the governance of Bungie, at the time of the acquisition, we were offering a very independent environment, so that was one way of thinking, Tao explained. However, oh god, here it comes. We have gone through structural reform, as we announced last year, so this independence is getting lighter, and Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more part of PlayStation Studios, and integration is proceeding. In the long term, you can see this as an ongoing process, so the direction is to become part of PlayStation Studios. Wow, there you have it. That's a quote literally from the Chief Financial Officer themselves, saying that they're just basically being absolved into PlayStation Studios, which really shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. Bungie as a company has been around for a long time, but really all of the OGs, the ones that built this company, the ones that made Halo such a great game, and even Destiny in its first few years, they've all sort of faded away, left for different companies, moved on. And so what you have right now is kind of like a husk of a company. Honestly, we're so many generations removed from some of the best talent. We've got a husk of a husk of a husk of what was once a really great company that made incredible games. I mean, Halo obviously is one of the most iconic FPS games ever. Destiny 1, of course, one of the best games to ever launch. And Destiny 2 has had some incredible moments as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on the game. I'm still playing the game. It's obviously built off of all its legacy and all of the hype and everything that it did in its first few years, of course, though. Now it's finally being absolved fully into PlayStation Studios. Now, we have seen similar instances like this with Concord, which Concord had Firewalk Studios. They completely absolved. Once Concord blew Sony $400 million after that game tanked, Sony just completely absolved the company. They got rid of Firewalk, and then some of those employees, I imagine, work for Sony now, etc., right? Maybe a similar thing is happening here. Obviously, Bungie's reputation is much better and much more prestigious than Firewalk Studios. Like, they hadn't even produced a big game, right? Bungie's produced Halo. Bungie produced the original Marathon and Destiny 2. These are some big titles. This gives them a somewhat prestigious name, even though it's become very controversial, especially after the Marathon art theft thing. I wonder if Bungie or if PlayStation and Sony want to try to move away from using the name Bungie and that title onto things. It's going to be a really interesting next couple of years when we see the full acquisition of Sony taking over Bungie here. In simple terms, that means Bungie isn't fully operating on its own anymore. So when they were first acquired, they had complete creative freedom to take the game in any direction they want. Obviously, Bungie's the one that got Destiny 2 to where it was, so I think that Sony initially thought, well, if we give Bungie full freedom to move the game in any direction they want, surely they will find success. But it was like a light switch. As soon as they got acquired, it just went downhill immediately. Like, there were some good ups, there's some, the final shape wasn't all bad, but overall it's been pretty bad the last few years. We have seen Bungie really lack any sort of creative ambition and really try to push this game forward in a meaningful way. Bit by bit, the studio is being folded into the larger PlayStation organization, just like Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, or Guerrilla. While no specific timeline was given, Sony clearly sees Bungie as part of its long-term plans for first-party development, especially around live service projects. So there you go. I feel like if Marathon arrives, which is going to be a Bungie title, and if it tanks and gets taken down, I think that is truly the end of the name Bungie itself. Like, I think that it's over for Bungie, and they're just absolved into PlayStation Studios. If Marathon can by some miracle stand on its 2 feet and grow an audience, then Bungie survives. Bungie has had a rough stretch recently. Reports suggest the studio had around 1,600 employees before its October 2023 and July 2024 layoffs. After 2 major rounds of cuts and transitions into Sony, it's believed that only about 850 employees remain, so they've lost almost 50% of their workforce. In related news, Destiny 2's latest expansion, The Edge of Fate's pre-orders are reportedly down nearly 50% compared to the final shape. This follows a continued drop in player engagement and interest, adding further pressure on Bungie as it works through internal restructuring and full integration into PlayStation Studios. So obviously when it rains, it pours, and Destiny 2 unfortunately is really struggling in terms of its player population. I do think that some of the new systems that are added, and you can hate me if you want, but I think that some of the new systems added, there's a kernel of something good there with the portal. It's a little bit half-baked. We need some more activities there. We just need some new activities in there. And obviously with Bungie having 50% of the workforce they had, the stuff that they're producing now is not nearly going to hold up to what we saw with the final shape and everything before that, right? That's going to be considered the golden era of Destiny 2. What do you think about Bungie losing its independence and becoming part of PlayStation Studios? I think that this is a good thing. Bungie has shown time and time again that they do not know how to push Destiny 2 in a direction that's going to make this game launch into the mainstream. I don't know if it's possible. Obviously, Destiny is kind of a niche game, but I feel like Bungie needs to have a much more ambitious approach. Right now, they seem to be constantly doing this like less is more approach where they just keep giving us less, but charging us the same amount. And the Destiny 2 players are kind of scratching their heads like, what is going on? What, you really expect us to keep paying the same amount and giving us less? So that's been a big problem. Hopefully, PlayStation Studios can absolve them and give them a much more ambitious vision for this game, and maybe replace some of the C-suite people up there looking at you, Pete, and replace them with people that are much more passionate about getting this game up and running again, because right now Destiny 2 is at a low point, and we were meant to be at a really high point with the launch of Edge of Fate. We were meant to be like, yes, the launch of a new saga, everything is good, life is good, Destiny is great, and it's been lukewarm at best. Is this good for Destiny and future projects like Marathon? Well, only time will tell, because as it stands right now, I would agree that the current Bungie team is not capable of taking Destiny where it needs to go. Will the new Sony executives, will the new Sony devs be able to do that? Only time will tell. How would we know? We can't say that the new Sony devs are going to help this game objectively. Like, we don't know that they're better. We assume that they might be able to take the game in a better direction, but we don't know entirely. Only time will tell what will happen with Destiny. Let me know what you think about the situation down in the comment section below. Pretty crazy one. Pretty crazy to see the actual Sony takeover happen in real time now, 2 years later after the acquisition. That's a wrap on this one. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.